Rapid pace out here early in the second. LeVert, hey, knocks it down. Rondo's on the run. Stops, hits Love. Love fires. Cavs reset with a fresh 14. Under 3 to go in the half. Garland works on Holiday. Lost it for a moment. Shovels to Mobley. Garland, step back three, drew a foul, knocks it down.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ages, you are listening to the Big 40, episode number 40 of the All Things Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. As always, with you, General Manager, Believe Win Media, Brandon Lewis, alongside VP of Operations, Joey Schneider.
Brandon Lewis, what is going on, man? I'm jacked up. I got to see the new jerseys. We all did. And we're going to start right there. We're jumping right in.
Let's do it.
Cavs, new jerseys. I think we were all waiting for it. And I'm going to be honest. I wanted to be wowed. I wanted to be wowed. And you know what? I don't want to hear I don't care what the jerseys look like. Everyone wants cool jerseys. If you say you don't want cool jerseys, then you're a liar and you're just trying. Then maybe your team sucks and you're like, well, I just want to win. Well, that's because your team is terrible. I want to win in style, Brandon.
Oh, you're cracking me up because you know that's what I was about to say.
I'm shutting you down before you even go to you. So as far as the jerseys go, you know what? I like the new logo. We talked about the logo when it came out. I don't even know what episode that was. Maybe that was episode 30. So at episode 40, we get to talk about the jerseys. Big 40. But yeah, they're simple. They're clean. I like how they kept the white, the wine, and the black. I was kind of hoping for a gold jersey. We haven't seen their city jerseys yet, which could be pretty cool. I am I love a good looking jersey, so I thought they're clean. I wouldn't buy one, but I'm not a big jersey buyer personally. The only time I'll buy a jersey are the ones where I can put my own name on the back.
Okay.
I'd rather just rep a shirt or a hoodie or something like that. But as far as the jerseys go, they're simple, they're clean. The logos are nice. I like how they just have, subtle little changes. I do like the shorts a lot with like the C on the side. They're very cool, but nothing that blew my mind away or anything like that. They're basketball uniforms. That's what they are.
And so we did put a poll out this week on our All Things Cavs Twitter account. Make sure to follow us at All Things Cavs on Twitter for all your podcast information. And so we asked our fans. We got 46 votes on our poll. Thank you everybody for voting. We had 4 options. We said, do you love them? Do you hate them? Are you just a little indifferent about them? Or are you not sure yet? And so the majority of our fans, 43.5%, said that they love them. And then second place, 35% said that they were indifferent on them. So, but by the way, only 4 people said that they hated them. So I think that that's good news. Reaction from what I've seen all around from fans and the internet, just hearing things, it sounds like either most people are kind of like us, where it's like, they're cool. It's not like we don't hate them, but they're not the greatest. And then I've seen a lot of people obviously say that they do really like them as well. And I've said this, when we were talking about the logos and jerseys and all this stuff, it really defines a new era for a team. Mm-hmm. And we kind of alluded to this a little bit, last week when the Cavs locked up Darius Garland and that big massive contract. And we talked, this is a new post-LeBron good Cavaliers era that we haven't really seen since the 1990s. And I'm excited to see the Cavs really, really kick it off this year. And I do agree with you. The one thing, I looked at the jerseys and, as you guys know, on fun, cool, Brandon, not really a jersey guy. But the first thing I thought of was, we do need a real gold jersey. Well, the Cavs' secondary color I know is wine, but they haven't really had a real gold jersey. Yeah, the black is cool. The wine is cool and all that, but we need wine and gold. We need the gold. And so I think as a City Edition uniform, I know they've done the navy blue in the past, but please this year, for the love of the NBA, give us a real gold jersey.
Well, I mean, they made this big stink about changing the logo and everything to actual gold and not like the yellow that they had. So yeah, I thought maybe they would, they'd have a gold jersey. I'm hoping maybe the city jersey, we'll see. But kind of transitioning from something that you said, this is a new era. We have Darius Garland, we have Jared Allen, we have Evan Mobley, and I am just over the moon excited to see what Evan Mobley is going to turn into. But there's still some players on this team with questions. What are we going to do with is Jetty going to be on the team when we start? Is Windler going to be on the team? Sexton, we're not going to get into that today because we've talked about it so much. I want to wait for some actual news. But a player who's extremely intriguing to me, who we have talked about, and there's times where I don't know if we're being too hard on him or if maybe we're just right on point, is Isaac Okoro. So everyone, if you haven't yet, go to believelandmediallc.com. Brandon wrote an absolutely fantastic article about Isaac Okoro heading into year 3. And, Brandon, I want to get your thoughts on Isaac Okoro because he is such an enigma to me. It's like on one hand, I'm like, he could still be a star or, a good player. And on the other hand, I'm like, it's, this is the 3rd year. I haven't seen any improvement yet.
So as I wrote in the article, obviously over the last 4 drafts, if you don't include the 2022 draft, Kobe Allman within the top 10, took Colin Sexton, he took Darius Garland, he took Evan Mobley, and he took Isaac Okoro. Obviously, 2 of those 4 in Garland and Mobley, we know are going to be here for a long time. We know they are studs. We know what Colin Sexton brings to the court when he's on the court, if he's a part of the Cavs uniform. The one guy in that group, which Kobe Allman, if you guys remember, originally called the core pieces to the rebuild, back when the Cavs were still trying to learn and rebuild here, was Isaac Okoro. And yes, we talked about Isaac Okoro at length, in the first couple podcasts, me more, but you two were really saying, hey, if he doesn't improve his shooting towards the trade deadline, there could be speculation he could be available. Do we give up on him that quickly? Could he really emerge? And I think this year for Okoro is a huge year because him and LeVert and Abaji, to me, are going to really be competing for playing time. And as much as we love Isaac Okoro on the defensive end of the floor, he is probably the best defender on the Cavs. In today's NBA, you can have as great defense as you want. We know shooters are still going to be able to make tough shots. And in today's NBA, you can have good defenders, but also if the guys that you're competing with are better shooters than you and you can put the ball in the basket, they're more than likely going to be playing over you. So I look at it as Okoro has to step up his offensive game. I'm not saying he has to become this whirlwind Steph Curry-like three-point shooter from the outside. All we are asking for is right now at the end of last season, the defense played the Cavs to a T. They left Okoro in the corner. His man came over and double teamed Garland, whoever the primary ball distributor was on that play. They left Okoro open and they dared him to shoot. And some nights he would knock down the 3 and it looked like, okay, his shot was improving. And then late in the season, he had some clankers there, especially in the play-in tournament. That is the part of his game that needs to work on because we know he can slash the basket. We know he can get to the basket, but it's not going to do him any good if teams don't think he can make that outside jump shot.
Yeah, and you could see flashes last year of his 3-point shot improving, especially from the corner. You could see flashes of him, slashing to the rim. I think he's got those tools, but he needs to be more aggressive about it. It's almost like he knows that he's and let's get one thing straight. Isaac Okoro is an elite defender. Elite. I would put him up against anybody and say he can pretty much guard anyone 1 through 3 in the NBA efficiently, and most players, he would dominate them defensively. Okoro is an elite defender. If he could get his offensive game going, he could be a very, very good player in the NBA, which is a lot of times, I think, when we are talking about trades or having some sort of fantasy trade scenario that, we talk about, we always include Okoro because we think Okoro is a good young piece that a team would want, that we think that he could take that next step at some point. But is he going to take that with the Cavs? Because if you go back to this rebuild, from, when we first took Sexton, it was supposed to be Sexton, and then we took Garland, and then we took Okoro, then we took Mobley. So he's part of that rebuild and a big piece of it. So Okoro needs to take that next step. It's, like you said, he's got Agbaji now nipping at his heels. We still have LeVert. We don't know what's going to happen with Sexton. So, if Sexton's not in the team, I don't think the playing time will be that bad because I think you'll have LeVert, Agbaji, Okoro, and, two of those three will be the 2 and the 3. But if Sexton comes back on the qualifying offer, I'm fairly confident that they're going to be starting Sexton at 2, and that 3 spot's going to be a big rotation piece for a lot of players. But yeah, Okoro he needs to take that step. He's just an enigma to me. He's so good on defense, and if he could just like get to that 10 to 14 point per game range, we don't need him to go off. We don't need him to score 25 a game. But if he could score 10 points a game, how many games last year would we have won? As opposed to where he played 29, 31 minutes and he scored 2, 4, 6 points maybe.
Yeah, I mean, again, even if he makes a couple of those threes in that playing tournament against Atlanta, maybe Atlanta doesn't get the momentum. Maybe the Cavs somehow win that ball game. Because sometimes it's not the amount of points you score, it's when you score those points. And it always seems like in a big moment, Okoro could have at least stopped some of the momentum in that game and just couldn't hit it. And then obviously none of the Cavs could hit any shots in the second half in that game. But it is a what if of, man, like, could this Cavs team, maybe if some of those shots you get early in the year, what if those shots were the difference between them even being an 8 seed and maybe a 6 seed?
Yeah. And Okoro, one of the things Okoro did excel at was transition. And, a lot of the players on the Cavs that was their motto, you run in the transition. And speaking of running in transition, there is a new rule that was approved by the NBA that could impact a lot of transition plays. Brandon, I want you to explain this because I know what they mean by the rule, but I'm pretty much having a really hard time trying to figure out how to explain this.
All righty, so now let's talk about that new rule. And yeah, so this rule is a little bit confusing to me. I kind of thought of it like a little bit of a clear path foul. So essentially, this is the words that NBA.com officially used. This was as of July 12th. It says, the NBA Board of Governors, which basically the NBA owners, today approved a change of playing rules that will impose a heightened penalty when a defensive player commits a transition take foul, which is an intentional foul committed by a defender to deprive the offensive team of a fast break opportunity. So essentially what that means, the way I gather it is, if you are on a fast break, when a guy goes to wrap you up because they want to prevent the layup, basically what they're saying now is you have to at least try to reach for the ball or do something to get your hands on the ball. If you do not do that, it will be a foul, obviously, on the team of whoever grabbed the player. And then the team of the player who got fouled can choose whoever they want to on the court to shoot one free throw, and the free throw shooting team will retain possession.
Essentially, it's like a technical foul without being a technical foul.
Yeah.
You get a one shot in the ball. Now, this is going to be a lot of people might think of this as a small rule change, but in my mind, this is a huge rule change. Watch any NBA game. There is probably 5 to 8 times a game where a team is about to go on a fast break after stealing the ball, and the player just grabs the arm. Now, if they do that in a game now, the other team gets the shot and the ball.
That's my clarification of the rule from what I understand.
Right. They're not making a play on the ball. And it happens so many times during the course of a game. There's so many turnovers in a game, and you got a team, especially like the Cavs last year, who like to run in transition. Yeah. And I mean, there's Golden State, like they like to run in transition. Yes. So, the Raptors. I mean, I could go on with the teams, but there's clearly going to be a lot of these, and it's going to be the ball and a free throw.
As I always say with these rule changes, in one game you're going to get the call that benefits you, and all the fans are going to say this is the greatest rule change ever made. And then there's going to be one time where screw you, fans are going to say, I hate this rule, change it back, because that's what always happens. I'm going to tell you, me personally, I don't think I like it. I kind of think that, like, to me, like stopping a layup on a fast break layup, like just committing a foul and side out, like that's smart IQ basketball to me, to not like let a guy try for it, because usually the guy is either going to get a wide open layup most time, or players are so afraid now of hard fouling and getting a flagrant foul, they just pretty much let them go. So I always thought that like, side out, let's reset, because basketball can be such a crazy place sometimes where guys are diving on the floor, all of a sudden there's a loose ball. You don't want to give it the layup, especially if it's a close game in the fourth quarter. So maybe what the NBA is thinking is maybe this will force more teams to play defense and not give up on every play like we see sometimes in these fast break opportunities. But I think it's good. I think you're right on this. I think it will dramatically affect the way the game is played. I think it's going to have an impact on who wins and who loses some of these close games.
I agree with you 100%. And it actually works both ways, because, as you said, a lot of, you're going to pass the ball out and it's an easy layup. Well, now if you grab the person, they miss the free throw. Now, if they get the ball side out and they don't get the shot, they get nothing.
Right.
And on the other side, they make the free throw, they pass the ball and hit a three. Now that's 4 points on what should have been a 2-point play. So it's such a wild swing. I don't like the rule at all. I really don't like the rule at all. They should have kept it the way it was, but there's always going to be some sort of change or something.
And the other thing too that I just thought of real quick. What happens if, let's say, a guy, maybe he's trying to go for a reach or something, and so he pokes the guy in the eye? Like, are they going to say he wasn't playing the ball? I don't know how this is going to work.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that he's going to try to reach for the ball. I mean, if you get slapped in the face, it's going to be a technical, unless it shows that you really weren't trying to. But even then, they still usually call a flagrant one anyway.
It's the same problem, right, with the current flagrant foul rule. Like, what is intent? And like we have talked about a couple of times in this podcast, all we have asked from officials around all sports is consistency. And I feel like every time you have a rule like this, that kind of is based off human judgment of what is intent, it gets really murky. And not only do fans not know what the rules are, the players and coaches aren't going to know what the exact rule, which is going to create even more confusion, especially early in the season. It's going to be something to look out for.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Something that we're going to have to watch for, and pretty much see how it plays out through the season. I'm sure teams are going to adjust. I'm sure that the coaching staffs are going to be told and kind of shown what the new rule is. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it, but we'll see as the season goes on. I've been wanting to get out into, I've been going to the Twitterverse trying to get people for some topics. And the best topic that was brought to me was from our very own Clarence Wilson, co-host of Den of the Dogs, our Browns podcast right here on Believe in Media. And I just thought it was a fun topic. He kind of brought it up, and I just thought it would be kind of fun, to discuss for a minute. Myles Garrett, a huge Cleveland Cavaliers fan. He's practiced with the team. He was in the All-Star game. He's unbelievably good. 6'5", 260 pounds of pure just dude. I mean, he's muscle built on muscle. If he were in a Cleveland Cavs uniform, legitimately, if he was a legitimate Cleveland Cavalier, he is, and I want to point this out, he is he has just joined the 99 club in Madden 23. He is the only 99 defensive end. Sorry, I was going to say edge, but yeah, he's the only 99 defensive end in the entire game. Man, yeah, I know this is all things Cavs, but Brown's got a lot of really good players in Madden this year. They better do the same thing in 2K, baby. I want to see Jared Allen at like an 88, Mobley at an 89, and Garland at a 92. If I don't see that, I'm gonna be upset. But where would you see Myles Garrett, the defensive end for the Cleveland Browns, 6'5", 260, amazing basketball player? Where would you see him on the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Well, I think obviously position-wise, he's a shooting guard to me.
Ooh, okay, this will be a good conversation.
Now, can he shoot is the question. Could he shoot consistently? Because
yes.
I have not seen a lot of it. I'm completely blind here. I have not seen a lot of videos of him playing basketball. So, I mean, what are we saying here? How much do we think he can contribute a game?
I think, okay, so here's my thing. I've seen videos of him like leaning into players beyond the arc and then drawing the foul and hitting threes. Okay. I've seen him, he's 6'5", 260, pure muscle, going up and throwing down huge dunks. He can do everything, but I actually see him as a power forward. I see him as a Charles Barkley type player. Barkley was only 6'5", 6'6". I don't know if he was that tall. And nobody, number one, no one is moving Myles Garrett at 6'5", 260, and I don't think anyone's gonna mess with Myles Garrett either.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the weight.
I see him as just bruising in there, getting rebounds, kicking it out, maybe throwing down a dunk or two. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be an all-star, but man, would he, one game, maybe like a 2-minute stretch, if the Browns would ever allow it, I'd love to see Myles Garrett play for the Cavaliers and just see what that would be like. That would just be like one of the greatest, most fun crossover things of all time. But obviously, it's a professional
he's exactly
sport.
What the Cavs need, a versatile wing.
But yeah, I mean, great. I mean, just a great, obviously one of the best players in the NFL on either side of the ball, and really a great basketball player. I'd love to see him in a Cavs uniform for one game, not the entire 2 minutes. Put him in there at the end of the game, like during a blowout, and see what he could do.
I would too. And you know what, Joey? I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. This has been episode number 40 of All Things Cavs. Nice, quick, little short episode for you guys, because in about 20 minutes here, I'm going to be jumping on the Guardians of the CLE. We're going to be having a round table, which should be out tonight. So you guys will see this episode, obviously, tomorrow. It's the Guardians of the CLE episode will already be out by then. Make sure you check out our Guardians of the CLE co-host Mel Kirby's recap on not only the Home Run Derby, but the All-Star game itself. And yeah, looking forward to talking about a team that's in season, and we'll be back with you here next week trying to figure out what to talk about with these Cavs. Hopefully Colin Sexton gives us some news.
We need something to talk about next week. Shout us out at All Things Cavs. Let us know if you guys have any questions. Myself, Goodfellow _ Joey. I'm sure I'll be shooting out ideas. Brandon, what's your Twitter?
At Brandon Woods _7.
Brandon, only one thing left to do, my man. You know what it is.
Luna!